All right.
All right. Welcome to week 15.
Yep.
2 and 3 week. So we were I think even if we had gotten a 3-2 week, we would have made it to 500. We were one game under. I feel like we keep flirting with that 500, and it's like we get like one step within and then we take a step back. But yeah, 2-3. So we're 33, 35-2 overall. Recapping the picks, Bowen with a W. Had the Bears +3.5. Um, and kind of riding that trend of the Lions being awful on the road. That continued. It kind of felt like an easy game. Any thoughts, takeaways from that?
No, they got big problems, the Lions. Past month has been brutal for their defense.
Yeah.
Uh, Dan Campbell's at the point of the year and his coaching where he's got to get tougher on them, which you never want to hear at going into week 15 of an NFL season. That's kind of a week 5 thing, I think, if you're stumbling out the gate maybe a little bit, but week 15 you got to have your shit together. It was a good spot for the Bears. Uh, Said they were going to win outright. They won outright. It was weird game, sort of, but uh, W for the Bears. Pretty, like you said, pretty easy. Not too much to you know
Yeah, it's
break
interesting.
down
I
there.
mean, you look at the Lions, like I don't think they've really played a great game since. I mean, you could maybe even go back as far as the Bucks win 20-6. They lost to the Ravens 38-6. I remember the Raiders game. They won 26-14, but that was one like we were on the Raiders that night, I think +9.5. And they were always in it because the Lions just like they just had to keep kicking field goals. Like
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
because
just
I
kept
think that was
throwing.
that one of those first games where we realized that the Raiders defense was actually playing really tough.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was like anytime they were kind of getting into that
Against the
20,
wall.
anytime they're inside the red zone, they were
Yeah.
really standing up.
Yeah. And then Chargers, they won by a field goal. The Bears, they had to have that miracle like late comeback. Lost to the Packers at home. That was on Thanksgiving. And
yeah,
then they beat the Saints, but I mean, they almost blew that. They were up, 21-0, almost blew that game. And then they get waxed by the Bears. So I mean, it's been a while since they've like really played a like really good football game, you know?
yeah,
Uh, That's
yeah,
tough.
Yeah,
So
well, it's actually
yeah,
something interesting too because I was reading. It was just something on Reddit talking about. I think it was when Hendon Hooker got activated off the IR or something like that, and they were saying how he actually might be like a decent buy low for from like a dynasty perspective, just because even like I feel like a lot of people just when Goff first came into Detroit, it was like, oh yeah, like when's it like when's his time going to be up? It's only a matter of time, things like that, and then he kind of played that kind of pressure off of his shoulders and he kind of got rid of that criticism. But I feel like now he's almost getting a pass for playing like shit for like you were saying, Tristan, the last like month and a half at least when
yeah.
you're really looking at it. And I think part of it is too that he's got like a good arm, and of course he's got that NFL quarterback arm. He's played in the Super Bowl, things like that. But I think the Lions, they really are trying to tailor things more towards their weapons, and they didn't spend that high pick on Jameson Williams to use him like this, to use him like a gadget player. And I think that they do want like a guy with a bigger arm that can make those throws downfield and really open up that offense and take the top off of it. So I don't know if Goff is as safe as it maybe felt going into this year and at the start of the season. So this really could be something to watch, see how the end of this year plays out, because I think they have to make some type of decision on him after the season anyways. So definitely a storyline to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Um, Next was Kiernan. Lost with the Ravens -7.5. Ravens won on a pick six in OT, but we had to cover 7.5, so that didn't help.
Was it a pick
Uh,
six or was it a punt return?
oh
but
no, I think you're right. Punt return.
Yeah,
Punt
because it was
return.
that
Tyler
Tylen. Was that the
Tyler
Tylen
Wallace.
Wallace play?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, punt return. Yeah, my bad. Um, but yeah, any thoughts, Kieran, on that?
No, I mean, I literally on last week's episode, I was talking about checking the weather, all that stuff. I make the pick for the Ravens. Um, and I said I wasn't worried about it. And then, it seemed like maybe the weather did just make it too slow of a game. Of course, I was fading Stafford. He hadn't played in the rain in
Like 20
I don't
years.
know, since 2017. He
Yeah.
hadn't played outside since the end of September.
Yeah.
He stepped up and they made some really, really, really big plays. Um, yeah, it's just tough, especially anytime that you need over a touchdown to cover a spread and it gets off to that close of a start. You kind of already know that you're going to be fighting an uphill battle all day, and then once it gets to overtime, it's dead anyways. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just a tough
Once
game. Good win
Lamar
for the Ravens though.
was punting the ball for a safety and the Rams went up 2 in the third quarter, it was going to be an uphill battle to get that 7.5.
Yeah, because it's like it really felt like the Ravens just kept going up a touchdown, then letting the
Yeah.
Rams tie it back up and things like that. So there was always like that chance, like, all right, if we can just string 2 possessions here together,
Yeah.
then we can maybe just walk, like, kind of like
There.
run out of here and just get out of it with our tail between our legs and just barely cover. But yeah, exactly. Like once you get that safety, then the math's really not on your side, and then it's really like looking like it's going to come down to the final possession or overtime. Then
Yeah.
you're fucked on a 7.5 point spread.
Yeah. All right, and then took another L with my pick. I had the Falcons -2.5. We had it covered. And then we didn't. Baker and the Bucks went down the field, scored a touchdown. The play I keep going back to was actually on the Falcons' first offensive drive. I don't know if you remember, but they were down inside the 5. And Ritter had Bijan wide open in the flat on the right side, and he overthrew him. Like wide open. And they had to settle for a field goal. And I was just like, oh my God, like that just says all you need to know about the Falcons. He would have walked in with that touchdown if he had made that very simple throw into the flat. But yeah, scored late. I think we were up by like 4 or 5 or 3 maybe, and then we had it, and then man, the Bucks just marched down the field. That was brutal. So took an L there. Do you guys have any thoughts outside of Ritter just being awful?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch that game too closely. Of course, I was following along for Drake London. I saw the highlight catch that he made, and Big T at Barstool, he made a funny joke where it was like, I guess this tweet ended up going viral, but yeah, it was like even Desmond Ritter's highlight plays look like interceptions.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
That's
it's pretty
how
much Drake London playing defense on that catch to take it
Yeah.
away from the defense and keep
Yeah.
the ball for his team.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. It was pretty funny. Yeah. All right. And then we went into Sunday Night Football. We had the Eagles +3, and obviously that did not pan out. Would they have 4 turnovers? I think they had
Yeah.
2 or 3 fumbles, and
I think each one of their star players fumbled the ball.
yeah, yep.
It's Dak VP. Dak VP.
I-
It's Dak's award.
I really, I don't want to live in a world where Dak wins the MVP.
It's crazy.
It's
crazy.
I mean, if I had actually bet him when he was 16-1, then I wouldn't mind, but especially considering that I missed it. I saw it and I missed it. I really don't want to live in a world where he's the guy.
No.
Yeah, I mean, he could be peaking a little too early when it comes to that type of discussion. I still think that Lamar is the one that's waiting in the wings. 1 seed, I think they're 11-3, and it feels like he's getting 0 MVP love. So I feel like it's one of those where it's such like a wide open field right now. I feel like down the stretch, as long as Lamar stays healthy, which has been the issue with him the last couple of years down the stretch, but I feel like he could be the one that kind of emerges at the last second, has the momentum going at the right time.
So they've got the Jaguars this week, the 49ers at San Francisco next week. That could be like if they go into San Francisco and win that game and he's the reason, then that could be it, right?
Yeah.
And then they've got the Dolphins in week 17. I mean, that's another opportunity. That's a huge opportunity.
He's a Miami guy.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to look ahead too far or talk about the board too much before we get into the week, but if the Bills spread is any indication, with this Cowboys game this weekend, Dak loses this week, maybe stumbles out of that first seed, I mean, if Ravens go into the San
Yeah.
Francisco, beat the Niners, who knows?
Yeah, I mean
It's
that's the thing is like
very real
Dak
possibility.
really he only wins the MVP if he plays perfect for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Like one slip up, like literally losing this week to Buffalo, all of a sudden he could jump down the board 2, 3 spots, and it's like, all right, like that conversation's over.
Mm-hmm.
I might,
So
I might just take Lamar right now.
Lamar is plus 650 on FanDuel.
Yeah, I got the money in my account. I might as well just do it. I've been kind of like teasing that for like 3 weeks. I feel like I might as well just do it now.
Uh,
The path has never been clear.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do it.
there. All right, so we were 1-3 heading into Monday Night Football, and what a journey. Titans plus 13.5 covers. Not only does it cover, but they win outright. And they were down what, 14 with like 3 minutes to go.
Yeah,
Yeah. 3.5.
I mean, that was wild. I was sitting there and I'm like, man, this would be frustrating as a Dolphins fan because you're like, I have no way of covering, you know? And then all of a sudden, Mostert runs it in. They intercept the very first pass on the next drive, and then I think they ran it in like right after that, and all of a sudden they were up 14. And I was like, you
Yep.
got to be fucking kidding me. And I was like, imagine being a Titans backer. Oh, we are. And then they found a way. I mean, incredible, just incredible resilience.
yeah. I mean, it is kind of funny though, because like they really did. They kept it close for most of that
Yeah,
game. Like if you're just
yeah,
looking at the percentage of like when it was in like within like one score, it's like
yeah,
90% of the game was a one-score game. It was just that really quick burst where the Dolphins got up, and it came at a time where it's like, well, that almost feels impossible to make up. But I guess it's also a good lesson in how crazy sports are and why to remain optimistic. Because that's always been my thing. It's like, well, if a team just put up a 20-point lead in the first half. I mean, we have the second half to put up a 20-point lead on them and, kind of close that gap. So I think it kind of speaks to, it's never really over. It's always nice to be on the right side of that stuff. I feel like
yeah,
I think every gambler probably thinks that they're always on the wrong side of it. So it's nice to be on the winning side for once for when it comes
yeah,
to something weird like that.
yeah. Um,
And
all
Levis
right.
was awesome.
Dude, by the way,
Yeah.
not to sound off here, but I mean, he's jacked. Like that dude's a stud.
Oh,
Yeah.
big time.
Yeah.
Like that's a
He looks the part.
good looking.
A lot of guys don't
That's a
look the
that's a
part. He
face of
looks
a
the part.
franchise.
Yeah.
That's a face of a franchise looking dude.
Yeah.
I gotta believe that he like what an opportunity living in Nashville. That's a great place to be for a guy like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
God
And
bless.
I
God
mean,
bless.
he's
God
just
bless.
huge. He's like my thing that I was always saying about him was like he's like a quarterback camp kid. Like he's just like a rich kid from Connecticut. Definitely always got the best coaching growing up. And you can see it like in like the way that he plays quarterback. Like
Yeah.
he just looks like he's been through a million of those drills that you see on
He's
Instagram.
polished.
Yeah, anything like that. So
He kind of reminds me of a rawer Trevor Lawrence. The way he looks, moves, and kind of just like feels
yeah,
a
it's
bit
just like
rougher,
that kind of like
little bit
next generation
more.
of quarterback where it's like rich kids get into sports and they have
Yeah.
the best options available when it comes to growing their talent and everything like that. So yeah, he's got that, and exactly, he's just jacked. He's like a really good athlete, and then he just looks the part too. It's like
Yeah.
things like that compared to a guy like, I don't know, Bryce Young, that's
I
my
knew
size.
that. Yeah. Yeah. Truly though, it's good things for Tennessee. They needed a boost like that.
Yeah.
And just him getting fired up on the sidelines. And one thing I really liked about it too, at the end, after the game, they were interviewing him, and the reporter that was running the interview said something about brought up draft night and him dropping not only to the end of the first round but out of the first round, becoming a day 2 pick. And something that he said that really stuck with me is he's like, yeah, like that's always there and it's always going to be part of my story, but I don't really think about it too much. I'm just really focused on the now and what I can do to get better for tomorrow and our next game and everything like that. And I like that. I like that he's not just like making that his whole thing. Like he's not just like, yeah, like nobody believed in me, all that shit. It's like I'm here now. I'm in the league. It doesn't matter. Some guys went in the fucking 7th round. I was still beginning of the first, second round. So yeah, like I like that he's not just like hanging his hat on that and making that his
On
whole thing.
the way he put it though, like, yeah, I know it's going to be part of my story.
Yeah,
Like very
yeah,
just matter of fact about it. Is pretty cool. So
yeah,
yeah. All right, should we do the wheel?
yeah. Let's get into it.
Please.
All right. Tristan.
All right. I think I said to you guys, my pick was inspired by where I was tonight. So just to fill in the viewers. So tonight I had the pleasure of being in Atlanta. I am here for the Cricket Celebration Bowl, which is the championship game for the historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs. We've got Howard and FAMU will be playing against each other on Saturday at 12 o'clock Eastern on ABC. Great game, tune in. But so I go to go to this event tonight. It's like basically the welcome, like the reception dinner. So they've got like both teams there. All the sponsors are there. So I'm there with Cricket, who's my client. And then I ran into while I was there a woman who she works for another agency partner of Cricket's. And I haven't seen her in a couple years. She had gone on maternity leave. She had her second kid. We haven't seen each other in person for like probably 3 years. And we were like, holy shit, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. So, we get to talk and we're at a football event. And she says to me, oh, I don't know if you know this, but my husband actually played football at Georgia. And he played from 03 to 07. And I go, weren't those Stafford's years? And she says, yes. He actually caught Matt Stafford's first collegiate touchdown.
No shit.
So
That's a fun fact.
So I will be taking the Rams -6.5 at home against the Commanders this week.
Interesting.
This is for Matt Stafford.
Wow.
The pick was on my radar. It wasn't in my top three, but it was on my radar. I like in the loss, I really liked the way that offense looked last week. They looked, I know we were kind of talking, we were like running with the weather narrative and, the fact that Stafford hadn't played outside in so long. And, that could be something that might be an issue for them, which is, why we went with the Ravens. I think we're all in support of that pick. But that offense looked really, really good. And one of the things I've been reading as I've been preparing for my DFS lineups this week is just how notoriously awful that Commanders secondary has been all season long, especially against wide receivers. There's just a lot and whether it's Cooper Kupp or it's Nakua, who's the other guy, Demarcus Robinson, I think that's been filling in for like Tutu Atwell.
Yeah.
But they really seem to have all of their weapons at their disposal. They've obviously got Kyron Williams back. Teams have got to respect the run game because if they feed him, he could fucking run all over them. He can run it up their throat. You respect the run game too much. Now you've got a passing game that's wide open. You have an awful secondary against an offense that seems like it's really clicking. So I was inspired. I like the Rams -6.5.
Yeah, I had them on my board. They were probably they probably weren't two, but a close three. When I was narrowing down my picks. For all the reasons you said, I mean not the coworker, I don't have that slant there, but the Commanders defense is horrendous. Their secondary is terrible. It's going to be real. I mean, the Rams are still playing for a playoff spot. They're playing hard. They're not playing to lose. I don't know if I can say the same thing about the Commanders. They've kind of seemed like they've set their season in stone and know which direction they're going, and that's probably replacing Ron Rivera and having a pretty high draft pick. So all things considered, it's 6, right? 6.5.
6.5.
6.5. I mean, like the number, football number. Like the Rams by a touchdown for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game I wasn't looking too closely at. Gun to my head, I'm just going to pick the Rams because I feel like they're the much better team, and I think you guys have covered everything. I think that defense is really bad. They got rid of Jack Del Rio. They have Ron Rivera calling that defense now. That doesn't make a difference, and I think that, and it's something that I've been waiting for all year, and that's kind of why I was a little scared of a guy like Sam Howell when it comes from a fantasy standpoint, because when coaches get in trouble, that's when they start to make changes, and a lot of times that first change is you fire a coordinator, then you replace the quarterback. So if I were looking at a team and trying to make a deep run, I'd just be scared about having a guy like Howell because you never know when he could get benched for something like that. The ownership might still like him, but yeah, I just feel like the Ron Rivera is going to be out this year, and we'll see what becomes of that. So exactly. I think Puka Nacua, he's been dealing with like an AC joint. He got hurt. He was in some decent pain last week. He did come back and play. I'm not sure if he finished out the game or not, but yeah, I think it's just I'm taking the Rams here because I would not trust the Commanders to cover any number. And I think that maybe that spread, it's a pretty big spread for two, not really great teams. A lot of times that's just something where it's like, listen to what Vegas is telling you. They're saying that the Rams are a touchdown better, and they really just might be.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right.
Good pick.
All right, let's get back to it. All right. This is tough because it's like
I saw you start smiling, and I'm like, oh man, what's he got? What's he got?
well, because there's like a pick for me. There's a pick that I want to make for me, but then there's like a pick where it's like sometimes you just see something, you just gotta go with it, and you gotta trust it. So I'm a little torn on the two. Um,
What's your gut tell you? I think you should follow your gut.
oh, that's the thing is like I'm torn on both of them, but I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna trust myself here. I'm gonna go with my guy. We were just talking about him. I'm gonna take the Titans -2.5 against the Houston Texans. I always love talking about the Titans, how they just randomly go on win streaks at any point in the year. It's like you blink, and usually it comes a little bit earlier, and that's when they're more of a competitor, looking to win their division, looking to make any type of playoff push. So, it usually felt like midseason you blink and it's week 10, and the Titans are going for 6 in a row, and they're, a 9-win team, and they're dominating the AFC South. And that hasn't been the case this year. Of course, they were dealing with having Tannehill at quarterback. He was playing like absolute shit. They have life here with Levis, and they've won 2 of their last 3. They lost against the Colts. It was a tight one. I think they lost by a field goal. And that was a back and forth game. They had some wonky special teams stuff going on. They did fire their special teams coordinator after that game. But I just like the Titans here. I feel like with CJ Stroud still in concussion protocol, we could be looking at Davis Mills. I don't know how much that changes the spread. I don't know how much of that is actually baked in here or not. I don't know what's up with Nico Collins. I know that Tank Dell is done, I think, for the year. I think that we're just starting to see the wheels fall off of a team that was already overachieving to begin with Houston. Derrick Henry historically just always goes off against the Titans or against the Texans. And I saw that they're going to be wearing the Oilers uniforms as well, playing against the Houston Texans. I like them to go out and make a statement in those uniforms. I feel like it's one of those, you just got to avoid embarrassment if you're going to do that to a team where you're kind of stealing their historic throwback jersey. So I like Vrabel. I like Levis. I think that the Titans are playing inspired football here. I think that DeAndre Hopkins is stepping up. I think Derrick Henry is stepping up. So I really like this team here. I like them to win by more than a field goal.
That was my well, I guess now number 3, but it was my number 2 pick before I ended up calling that audible. I mean, for all the reasons you just said, so I'm not really going to add on to it. I love that pick.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add. Like the pick, logical pick. Just they did bake in the CJ Stroud injury. They opened at 3.5. The Texans did on the Circa book earlier this week, or at least that's the line they had posted on that site that you sent, Tristan. I was looking at it before, so I mean that's a pretty significant swing, but rightfully so. especially with the offense around CJ Stroud if he were to play, already being incredibly banged up with Tank Dell. I think Noah Brown might be banged up again. Nico Collins is not practicing this week.
Well,
Dalton Schultz is
Noah
back.
Brown, I think Noah Brown has played the last 2 games and he hasn't registered a catch.
That adds up. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
So
adds up.
something's up.
Yeah, I mean it's tough to really add anything to the pick. I like it's only 2.5, very manageable. Titans look good. Not again another team that's just not trying to lose. They're not built to lose. Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, two wily vets. They're not ever trying to lose. They're going to be playing hard, and they can get behind a rookie quarterback who looks good and he's like tough. You give him a little bit of fire, great. Let's
Yeah,
keep
and I
riding the
think the
wave.
Texans are getting a little bit of love here too, just because they've been playing so well all season. But I think that the reason that they've been playing so well is because CJ Stroud has been stepping up with these weapons that he has. Now CJ Stroud is likely out. Those weapons, we know Tank Dell is definitely out. Nico Collins likely out. So all of a sudden, we're going back to last year's roster. And I don't think I think that D'Amico Ryans is a good coach. I don't think he's a good enough coach to elevate last year's roster into performing the way that this year's roster has been performing. So, yeah, I think it's a good opportunity for the Titans to make a statement and just continue rolling with what they've been doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Love it.
All right.
Wheel out.
Yeah, I want to get through Bowen's pick just to see. I want to see what he picks, and then I want to reveal what my other pick was. But there's a chance that it could be Bowen's pick here. So, all right.
All right. So I'm actually going back to the well this week. Bears plus 3.5 on the road in Cleveland. The Browns the past 3 days have lost their starting left tackle, Jedrick Wills, safety or like hybrid player, Grant Delpit on their defense, a starting D end and a starting D tackle, a Conquero and Mo Hurst are both out for the season. I think they both tore their pec, which is very strange, but also unfortunate for them. Joe Flacco, although he has been good, the couple games that he's played for them, is still a 38-year-old with minimal mobility. The Bears have been getting after the quarterback with the addition of Sweat. They've, been able to actually look like a defense, play full games as a defense. I think the Bears pressured Flacco enough to make him uncomfortable. I don't think the Browns put up many points. And the Bears offense has with Fields and DJ Moore, that connection is electric. Their run game is kind of scrappy. Don't really have one guy, but they have a few guys who can do a little bit of everything for them. I think they can put it up enough points, even though the Browns defense is over the course of the season been good. They've been a little bit leakier the past month or so. That might be attributed to some of the injuries, but I just think it's a big emotional game for the Browns with all those guys, all those starters, just not on the field for them this week. It's going to be really hard for them with Flacco leading the pack to cover 3.5. I think the Bears win outright by a touchdown.
I like the pick. I was kind of back and forth on it. I really just didn't have any strong feeling, but I think that inside I was really thinking like I feel like the Bears are going to win it. I think my only concern was like, is there going to be a point in the season where, this luck kind of runs out for them and it's like, oh, Justin Fields turns back into a pumpkin. But I don't know. I'm kind of in the camp that I think that Justin Fields is going to play his way back into a job for next year. And I think that we might see kind of at the very least, a Daniel Jones type situation where he gets a 1 or 2 year prove it deal and they try to go back all in and really fill the gaps on this roster and, go for it with Justin Fields. Cause I understand, the want to move on from him and just give it a new shot, but it's like, if you have him in place and you have these picks that they're going to have, which could be the first overall pick, and then they're looking at a likely other top 10 pick, it's like maybe, maybe they can talk themselves into just keeping him. And he's playing really well down the stretch. Maybe that's just what he does. Maybe he just plays really well at the end of the year when he feels like his back's against the wall. But yeah, I feel like the Bears are clicking right now. It's like you were saying with that defense with Sweat coming in, and then I saw the Chicago guys talking about some other guy on that D line that he's been playing much better since they brought Sweat in. So it's not just Sweat playing well, but he's also elevating the rest of that pass rush. And I think we saw that the last couple of weeks where we were joking about how little pressure they create, and then they come out or all over the quarterback all day, and that's leading to turnovers in the secondary as well. So that defense is playing well. That could be a game where we see Joe Flacco throw 3 picks, and maybe they have a chance to drive down and win it or come back and tie it up or something. And Flacco just Flacco's again and throws a pick in a big spot. So yeah, I like the Bears here. I think that the way this game is set up, you want to take the underdog.
Like it. Love it. Let's do it.
Sweet.
What was the other game, Ken?
Kenny, can I guess quick?
Oh,
Oh no!
It was what would you think it was gonna be?
I was gonna guess the Bills. I thought you were all over the Bills.
Yeah, I was loving the Bills too. That was my favorite. But I mean, with the Bills, it's just like right now, I feel like they're in that spot where it's like so many people loved them beginning of the year. They absolutely sucked. And now they have so much to play for. It's like this feels like a trap spot for Dallas. Coming off that, Dallas is underdogs. You know, I feel like everyone's going to jump on that. So I do like the Bills in that spot. The Packers was just because when Mincy was being paraded around, he was being paraded around in the dunce cap. He just shoehorns in there with Portnoy. I don't even think they're talking. He's just sitting there in the corner. He can't speak, and then he just goes, I just really like the Packers this week. So I already liked the Packers to begin with, just because I felt like I don't know. I just can't see Baker going into Lambeau and winning. And I feel like the Green Bay coming off that loss to Tommy DeVito, it's a classic bounce back. So I did like him in that spot, and then it also clicked for me that was Mincy's pick. So that's where I was going. But I stick with my guy Levis. I love Levis. I love Vrabel. I just like hardos like that, you know.
Yeah. What did Mincy like spoil Survivor?
He just spoiled the final 3. So I mean, luckily they didn't reveal the vote until the live finale, which that's what they used to do on Survivor anyways. Now they just do the whole finale on the island, but they used to vote and then go back to New York, do the reunion, all that, and read the votes to start it off. So that's the style that they did it in. But to start the episode, they started with the final 4 doing their challenge and their vote to get to the final 3, and then Mincy's like, he gave himself so many outs to be like, oh, actually, I don't know, or anything like that. And then he would just double down. He'd be like, oh, yeah, so it's going to be Compton, Che, and Jerry. He's like, that's the final 3. I don't know. Oh, no, I do know that's the final 3. It's like he could have been like, he's like, oh wait, no, and then it's who else is in the 4? Like, you know, he had so many opportunities to just make it like ambiguous, and then he just like doubles down. He's like, nope, I know it's them in the final 3. So
he can't be on a live mic. That's insane.
Yeah, and then that's the whole thing. Then Portnoy found out that he spoiled it as he's like showing up to the office because they're all in Chicago for the live finale, and then he comes in. I guess Mincy's instinct was to grab his backpack and try and sneak out of the office. But Portnoy comes in and he's pissed because he's like, I thought that part of literally the major part of bringing the Mincy show back was that they were going to have a dump button, like a 10-second delay, anything like that. And then I guess literally a week ago on Viva TV, which is like their stool scenes, whatever, they had a video about Wake Up Mincy coming back, and it's like a montage of employees in the office acknowledging that they did not put a dump button in and like laughing about it. So Portnoy was pissed about that, and rightfully so. I mean, you know, it's a paid program; it gets spoiled, shit like that. So it is like
I think somebody's gonna get fired for it's not even just the spoiled thing; it's the recklessness of we agreed. Like I mandated a dump button.
Because he said the N-word on like his third stream that he ever did.
Yeah. And then you guys, aware of the fact that you didn't put one in, are sitting there and laughing about it on another show.
And it's like one of the head tech guys. He was like all sassy in the video, where he's like, this show is just going to have to operate without a dump button for now because like I don't have the time to figure it out and all this stuff. He's like bitching the camera guy out. It's like,
how hard can that even be?
It's not hard at all. TJ, I was watching the Yak today.
Why does that show even have to be live? Like, what is he doing that needs
so that
to be
was
live?
so that was like multiple things where like who I forget who it was on the show asked is like why does this have to be live? Why can't we pre-record it? And Titus was like, because the appeal of the show is putting Mincy on a hot mic and seeing him get canceled or like get himself in trouble. It's like if you take that away, right? It's like we all want to take that away, but then when you finally do, you're kind of like, I don't know. It's like when Bosco first came back and he was like too well behaved, and it was like, I don't know if I like this version of Rico. It's like you want him to be a little unhinged. So it's the same thing. It's like the only reason that anybody would ever watch Wake Up with Mincy is to see if he fucks up and says something stupid on the show. And then TJ like showed that it's like literally all you have to do is like click a drop down menu on YouTube and put like a 30-second delay.
Holy
so it's not even hard.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like this head tech guy is acting like it's like he's gonna like install wiring in the wall and shit like that. It's like, no, you can just click on this button on the YouTube stream, it drops down, and then you select the delay. So yeah, I mean, knowing Barstool and Portnoy, like nobody will get fired, but that is like that could be a fireable offense because like Mintz is like a legit liability on a live stream.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So then on the Yak, they wanted to bring him in, but it's like a hard and fast like no live streams with Mintz rule right now. Yeah. So what they did was they had him stand outside the studio and they ran a wire with headphones and he had the headphones on. And then he had to hear the question, record his answer, send it to TJ, who was gonna screen the video, and then TJ was gonna play it on the Yak and get their answer. And Mintz had to give his answer while they were still talking on the Yak. So it's like he's got all these voices in his head and he's trying to answer a question that they've already moved on from.
Oh my god. That's fucking hilarious. I love it. All right. Should we go to Sunday night?
Yeah. So it was flex. So the games were still in the original order, but just to clarify, it's Baltimore and Jacksonville is the Sunday.
That tripped me up.
Baltimore Jacksonville is the game that I picked.
Yeah. Because I was just going down. I was like, wait, I don't think the Pats are primetime anymore. So
yeah.
All right. Bowen leads off.
So it's Jags. What's the line on it?
Ravens -3 at Jags.
Yeah, I mean, all over the Ravens. In my opinion, my pick will be the Ravens. It's actually more anti-Jag. I mean, I don't think Trevor Lawrence is right. He has a high ankle sprain still. He threw 3 interceptions last week. He was playing hard and didn't really look too immobilized by it, but it was just the whole thing just didn't really sit right with me. I think this is going to linger for the Jags. Lost Christian Kirk. Ravens have been playing really well last week. I don't think they played their best like we had already talked about, but they're a wagon. Think they rebound off a win. And just take care of business. Three is a manageable number. I don't believe in the Jags.
Yeah, I mean, we could just make it easy, and I agree with the pick. I got the Ravens as well. I feel like the Jags are almost kind of cursed by the position they're in because they have they're a division leader right now. We only have a few weeks left, but I think that they'd just be better off having Trevor Lawrence sit out for the rest of the year, rest up, and get ready for next year, not put that ankle at any more risk. And I mean, admittedly, I didn't watch too much of the game. I did bet on the Browns myself just because I was fading Trevor Lawrence on that injury. Yeah. They were down big for a while. I guess the Jags managed to make it seem like a closer game, but Trevor Lawrence threw 3 interceptions. I agree with you. I just don't think that he's right on this ankle. And also just looking at the standings, they're not things could fall apart very quickly for the Jags. They're 8-5 division leaders. They're only a game above the Colts and the Texans. I don't know how the tiebreakers play out there, but if the Jags lose this week and the Colts win this week, Depending on tiebreakers, I mean, that's at least a tie at the top of that division. And the Jags, like they're only 8-5. Like they're not like huge leads. Like they're not like a lock for the wild card either. So this could be something where the wheels quickly fall off if they lose this week, stack another loss. I don't know who they play next week, but they could quickly be out of the wild card in like 2 or 3 weeks. So that's something to keep an eye on for sure. But like I said, I mean, I think Lamar is just like a sneaky MVP here. I think this is an opportunity for him to come in, make a case in prime time. So I like the Ravens here. I think that they should be looking for a blowout.
Same read for all the reasons you guys listed. So unanimous.
Sweet.
Cool.
Nothing new to add.
Cool. All right.
Spare
Let's
the
do the next
viewers.
one. All right, Tristan.
No.
Yeah, it's only fair, right? You said you had nothing to add on that last one, so might as well lead us off.
But there was like a little glitch there because I thought it was settling on your name.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you said Tristan, and then I saw the little bump and it went up.
Hey.
But all right, I'll kick it off. So the game is the Eagles -3.5 against the Seahawks.
Yep.
I'm taking the Eagles. I think it's a great bounce back spot. Seahawks defense is subpar. I think it's perfect spoonful of medicine for an ailing offense. You know, an offense that hasn't really looked right for a few weeks now. But I mean, you know, the Eagles have all the pieces there. You know, and I feel like Jalen has talked about this like every single week where he's just like, we just haven't quite put it all together. I mean, they've had a bunch of games where they've gotten off to a really slow start in the first half, and then they kind of find a way that, you know, they put it all together. Last week it was, you know, the story was the turnovers. I mean, you know, and I think all 3 times that their stars turned the ball over, they did it in Cowboys territory. Like they were driving, they were moving the ball. So, you know, I think it's easy to have a, you know, I don't want to say an overreaction, but I think it's easy to, you know, maybe be in a position where like, oh, like the Eagles kind of look like shit. And maybe take the points of the Seahawks, but I do like them in a bounce back. I could see a big night from Hurts. You know, defense kind of has an opportunity to get back on track. I'm not really sure what's going on with Geno Smith. But you know, I do feel like, you know, that Seahawks offense is, you know, they're dealing with some issues. So yeah, I like the Eagles.
Oh, I like the Eagles as well.
Yeah.
I don't know where Bowen's at with it. If he has a compelling, I could be flipped. It's really I'm not like married to it, but I was leaning the Eagles here as well. I think it is just the bounce back spot. You know, if they were playing maybe a team in a different situation, then maybe I'd say this is a spot where they could keep that losing streak rolling a little bit. I think we've seen the Cowboys go on that streak a little bit. The Niners, of course, they were losing a little bit. The Bengals were playing like shit. So we've seen these good teams, you know, kind of struggle at points in this season. But yeah, I mean, the Seahawks, they've lost 4 straight themselves. It seems really hard for a team like the Eagles with the aspirations that they have at this point in the season to drop a 3rd straight. So I think that if they come out and if we get burnt and it's a 3-point field goal win and we get burned on the hook, then so be it. But I think that they need to come out and really make a statement here and try and blow them out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my only real thought, I mean, my lean was the Eagles. I think I'm gonna smash the over on the game total. Both defenses are really, really bad. Just think the Eagles will be able to string together more scoring drives than that Geno led offense has been kind of shaky all year. I don't know if they'll be able to capitalize on this Eagles bad secondary as well as you know, Hurts and the Eagles can capitalize on their poor secondary. Witherspoon went down last week. He's been a big player for them. And I don't think he's playing this week at all, or he hasn't been practicing. So I think they're going to be down one of their top young guys in that secondary to begin with. Just gonna be a lot of points, but gonna be tough to keep up with Jalen Hurts, who just kind of got embarrassed prime time last week. So yeah, Eagles.
AJ Brown versus DK Metcalf, college teammates. boy.
Oh,
And then we also have if Justin Jefferson plays, which I think he is pushing to play, we have Jefferson versus Chase.
oh, interesting. All
Yeah, I
right.
was already
Why is
thinking about-
Jefferson? Why is he trying to push to play?
he's a
That
gamer.
just feels crazy. Crazy.
They're actually in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, they are in position to make a
Weird
go
to
for it.
say. Yeah, it
But
feels
yeah,
like
we get to hit the
everything's-
gritty parlay. Jefferson and Chase to score. Maybe do a little combo with Jefferson, Chase, AJ Brown, and DK all to score. That could be something there.
Hold on, let me look this up. Let me look it up. Hold on. Let's go to it.
You got to figure they're probably both like I don't know, like plus
Minus
90.
40 or something. I don't know. I
Hey,
feel
what
like
do you guys think of what do you think of Josh Dobbs getting benched like that for Nick Mullins?
that's
That feels like a weird move. It feels like a weird move.
I've kind of had my eye on that for a little bit, just because Nick Mullins he's been with the team, so he knew everything, and he was on IR, I guess, but he was hurt at least. He was like missing weeks leading to them getting Dobbs, so it's not like he just like came from out of nowhere. He was just hurt. And then yeah, I mean I think Dobbs just turned back into a pumpkin. Yeah, as I was saying, like the maybe worst sports take ever were the people pushing for Josh Dobbs to win comeback player of the year over a guy that died. And anytime you ask them, what did he come back from? Anytime you ask him, what did he come back from? Oh, he came back from being on the bench. It's like, I don't think you understand what a comeback is.
Didn't Gino get that
Our
kind of
Hamlin was
treatment though
dead.
last year?
Gino got it, but it's a different story than Gino. Gino Smith was a second round pick. He was a starter in the league, who sat on the bench for like 8 years and then became a starter again, got a contract. It's like that's just like not what Josh Dobbs is doing. He was just a bench player that had a moment. I mean, Josh Dobbs got this opportunity because of how well he played at the end of last year. So it's like I think the comparison to Geno Smith winning it just stops at them being long-time backups that become good starters. But it's like he's not Geno Smith, he's not Kurt Warner, any shit like that. And again, if you don't want to give it to DeMar Hamlin, I still think that Tua has a much better case.
Yeah, he almost died
than
too.
Josh Dobbs, but. I don't know. I'm sick of the people that are still mad about DeMar Hamlin getting the getting the award. I've never seen somebody care so much about the comeback player of the year award until DeMar Hamlin was the favorite. And people are running with this narrative that he blew the game and that he was the 12th man on the field, which is not true.
Oh, dude, that shit's so funny.
But they run with
DeMar
that.
Hamlin's
That's
clone,
literally
but-
not true. Like he is not the reason they lost that game. He was not the person they called the penalty on, and everybody just runs with that. It's like
It's unbelievable.
I think he was on the field, and people were just like, "It must have been him then."
I mean, those same people think like he's actually dead. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Bro, that's why he's not playing this year, is because he got cloned and it's not actually him on the sideline.
Yeah.
He
yeah.
doesn't
It's
have
like
the
his
same
body
skills
hasn't
that
fully
DeMar has.
developed yet. He's still growing.
Yeah. So that's how that works.
And then
Yeah.
people were, I remember when he went to like all those award shows and shit like that, and people were like, "Look at this tattoo on his hand. He didn't have a tattoo in pictures last week." And then you see the picture, and like his tattoo is like glistening, like it's like the newest tattoo I've ever seen. Like he probably got it hours before going to that event. And people that don't have any tattoos on their body are like, "How did he get that tattoo so quickly?" It's like I think he just got it.
Yeah.
He just had like a 4-hour session.
Yeah, I can like confidently say, like, I think I still see the tape on it, the second skin tape.
Yeah. So I looked up. FanDuel didn't have TD props out yet.
I think they might for Saturday at least. I see Jefferson.
So I went to DraftKings though, and I was able to get Jefferson and Chase as a same game parlay is basically 4-1.
Yeah.
Jefferson's plus 155, Chase is plus 135.
Well, it's 487 on FanDuel.
Okay. All right. And then I just went so I didn't see anytime TD props yet for that Eagles game.
Yeah.
But Stephon Diggs is minus 120 and CD Lamb is minus 130. I figure they're probably going to be like in that neighborhood, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. definitely.
So if you were to take all 4 of those, in DraftKings at least, it's basically a 15-1 parlay.
Interesting.
Wow.
That's about. I think that's
Definitely like
about,
the gritty parlay on a Saturday afternoon. That's a must play.
I like it. With Howard plus 6.5 or Howard money line.
No, we could do those separate. I don't.
Not do it. Yeah, no, I was saying.
I don't. Yeah.
I meant do it separate.
Okay. Yeah.
In terms
I
of,
don't, I don't want to lose an anytime touchdown parlay because of an HBCU bowl game. I don't.
That's fair.
Yeah, but yeah, no,
Yeah.
no. I might take Howard money line.
Hold on though. Let me play that out. Give me 1 second. All right, NCAA football. So if you were to do the gritty parlay plus Howard money line, Howard's plus 190 money line.
Yeah.
It's 12.5 to 1.
All right.
So, yeah. Plus 190 seems a little low for plus 6.5 spread.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Only a touchdown.
Yeah. But anyway. All right. Well, the picks are already submitted. So you should have that in your inbox. But just to recap for our loyal listeners, Bowen's on the Bears plus 3.5. Kiernan's on the Titans minus 2.5. I'm on the Rams minus 6.5. And we had unanimous picks on the Ravens minus 3 and the Eagles minus 3.5.
All right.
Oh yeah,
Let's do it.
5-0.
Let's do it.
We're due.
All right. See you guys.
I'll see it.
Later.